The Boy Scouts have now decided they're going to rename themselves to be more inclusive. And this is just the final step in the hollowing out of the Boy Scouts as an organization, which is truly really sad because the Boy Scouts used to be, again, one of those social institutions outside of government, one of those social fabric building institutions that allowed people to know their neighbors, make friends, develop actual values. The values of the Boy Scouts were good religious values. The founder of the Boy Scouts was a religious Christian. And one of the actual things that Boy Scouts had to abide by was duty to God. That was actually in the original kind of oath that you would take as a Boy Scout. Well, over time, they've gotten rid of a lot of that. They've secularized it. They've gotten rid of all of the original values. And now they're getting rid of the name Boy Scouts because after all, they wouldn't want to feel non-inclusive for girls who think they're boys and stuff like that. By the way, if you're the kind of person who thinks Boy Scouts is non-inclusive, may I recommend that you get your head examined? Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't there just be a group where boys can get together and learn how to build a campfire or something? Hell's wrong with you people? You want to know why so much of red state America is getting redder? It's because of crap like this. As a famous person once said, Boy Scouts is for boys. It's in the name Boy Scouts. In any case, here's Roger Crone, the CEO of the Boy Scouts of America. They're renaming themselves.
Sends this really strong message to everyone in America that they can come to this program, they can bring their authentic self, they can be who they are, right? And they will be welcomed here. The argument that I make with the people that say, well, I always like Boy Scouts of America or BSA, why do we have to change? Go, membership is at historic lows, right? Part of my job is to reduce all the barriers I possibly can for people to accept us as an organization and to join.
Okay, this is exactly what's wrong with institutional America. That last line right there is the problem. This is true for churches, it's true for the Boy Scouts, it's true for synagogues, it's true for everyone. Every traditionalist institution, when they say our job is to lower the barriers of entry so you can enter, so everyone can bring their authentic selves, you want to know why no one wants to join your organization? It's because of that. The reason people join institutions and organizations is to be shaped by those organizations and institutions. The reason you become a Boy Scout is to cultivate the skill set necessary to become an Eagle Scout, to become better at things. That is literally the reason. Not because the Boy Scouts are seeking your authentic self, but because you are supposed to conform to certain roles. You are supposed to learn things from people who know things, because the set of values that is promulgated by the institution is supposed to be taken in and integrated into your life. This is also true for churches. You hear this from churches all the damn time. Failing churches, I should say. You hear it from pastors and priests, people who will say things like, well, the reason I put this gay pride flag on the outside of my church is because I want to say that you should come as your authentic self because we welcome everyone. We want to get rid of the barriers to entry. So I have a question. If a gay couple has the choice between going to a really nice restaurant with some nice guitar music with a gay pride flag out front or to your church on a Sunday morning, which one do you think they're going to do? Which one? The reason people engage with institutions is because the institutions have value to them. And that means that their values cannot shift and change in order to get more butts in the pews or more seats around the campfire. Once again, Pure Talk is investing in their customers with their own money and without charging you an extra penny. I am pleased to announce that Pure Talk is now providing international roaming to over 50 countries. As you plan your summer travel, make sure your wireless provider has you covered at home and abroad. Pure Talk already puts you on America's most dependable 5G network. Now they're offering coverage in over 50 countries as well. Enjoy the freedom of unlimited talk, text, and ample 5G data for just $20 a month with Pure Talk. This is a deal that's hard to beat, costing you less than half of what you'd pay with other networks. Not only is their U.S. customer service team ready to assist you with a seamless switch, they also have fantastic savings on the latest iPhones and Androids. Ready to make a smart switch? Join my cell phone company, Pure Talk. Start saving today. Visit puretalk.com/Shapiro to explore their offers. When you make the switch, you'll enjoy an additional 50% off your very first month of coverage. Don't miss out on the opportunity to save on wireless at home and abroad. Visit puretalk.com/Shapiro. Again, that's puretalk.com/Shapiro today. Go check them out right now. It's the cell phone company I've been using for years at this point. puretalk.com/Shapiro. Go check them out. puretalk.com/Shapiro today. The reason the Boy Scouts has been withering away over the course of the last several decades has nothing to do with the Boy Scouts' conservatism. It has everything to do with the fact that the Boy Scouts have been destroyed by progressivism. It has to do with the fact that courts decided that Boy Scouts couldn't even have standards for their own scoutmasters. It's because the Boy Scouts decided there could be girls in the Boy Scouts. If you want a successful institution, you stick to your guns and you hold to those guns no matter what. But again, the middle management of American life has decided that it's very important to cater to the new tolerant and diverse worldview of the United States, which, by the way, does not give a... You think a bunch of lib kids are going to start coming to Scouts of America or whatever the hell they're calling themselves now? You think all of a sudden this place is going to be filled by San Francisco trans kids? That's not the next step here. The next step is that the organization just doesn't exist. Just another pathetic attempt to empty out traditional historic American institutions. That's what that is. And then you wonder why there's a backlash in the form of things like Trump. Because when people feel so panicked about institutions being destroyed, they go to the great destroyer himself, who threatens to just break every piece of china in the china shop. That's how you end up with all of this stuff. By the way, the great purveyors of diversity, equity, and inclusion, very often it is they who are the most racist, of course, because wokeness itself is racist. Wokeness itself is the argument that race ought to be predominant over the individual. And so many of its purveyors happen to think in incredibly racist ways. That famous meme from comedian Ryan Long of the woke and the racist guy sharing spaces and ideas, right? That's true. So here is Kathy Hochul, a devotee of the woke cult, explaining that the big problem for black people in America is they don't know the word computer. Don't worry, she's not a racist. She's just saying something super kind of racist.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
I'm pretty sure that black kids know what a computer is, because we're not living in 1972. I'm pretty sure. But again, I guess if you're woke, you get away with this kind of stuff. If you're a Republican, you say that black kids don't know what the word computer. I have a feeling like that would be a problem for Republicans. I don't know, call me crazy. I think that'd be a problem. Okay, meanwhile, Joe Biden continues to be unpopular also because he is absolutely weak on foreign policy. So, a U.S. soldier has now been detained in Russia. That U.S. soldier is being accused of theft. This is what officials are saying. According to NBC News, the soldier is Staff Sergeant Gordon Black. He'd been stationed in South Korea and traveled to Russia on his own, not on official business, according to 4 U.S. officials. By the way, bad move. Always bad move. Whether you are a U.S. soldier or whether you are Brittany Griner, going to Russia, not generally a wise move. He had finished his deployment. He was heading back to the United States when he made a side trip to Vladivostok, Russia, to visit a woman with whom he was romantically involved, according to officials. Apparently, he traveled there without permission from his superiors. The soldier is accused of stealing from a woman, the official said, and they just arrested him. He has been apprehended on charges of criminal misconduct. The Army notified his family, and the U.S. Department of State is providing consular support to this soldier. So, totally unclear what exactly the crime was. This could just be Russia seizing yet another American citizen to hold hostage, because as it turns out, this administration is very fond of groups that hold people hostage. They're perfectly willing to provide cover for those people, whether it's Hamas holding Americans hostage or Russia holding Americans hostage. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre suggesting that American citizens who are currently in Russia should leave. Yeah, you think?
We take seriously our commitment to assist U.S. citizens abroad and provide all appropriate assistance. We iterate, and this is kind of to your question, we iterate our strong warnings about danger posed to U.S. citizens in Russia. We have been very clear about this. State Department has been very clear about this, and we will continue to say U.S. citizens residing or traveling in Russia should depart immediately. As stated in our travel advisory for Russia, and U.S. citizens should not travel to Russia at this time, period. And we're going to continue to be very, very clear about that.
So, yeah, because you have not stood up to Russia in really any significant way. You slow walked all the aid to Ukraine. You've allowed Russia to continue to flex its muscles in the Middle East. Vladimir Putin, by the way, just enshrined himself for another 6 years in the leadership of Russia. Attending that ceremony was Steven Seagal. I kid you not. That is our world now. Steven Seagal, ushering in the new era of Putinism. Well, at least our media are focused on the real issues. Joy Reid, who in her own skull is the repository of at least 27% of all human stupidity. She had some words about Vladimir Putin and his habit of taking hostages. She was particularly upset that Vladimir Putin had grabbed Brittany Griner for bringing marijuana seed oil or something into Russia. She says that Putin grabbed a black queer woman in order to cause trauma, particular trauma in America. I didn't realize that like, I feel like seizing the journalist from the Wall Street Journal is a little more traumatic than seizing the WNBA player, but apparently Joy Reid feels differently.
It's, to me, sort of shocking to think about spending nearly a year far from home, wondering if you'll ever get out. Because she was sentenced to 9 years, 9.5 years incarceration for what in this country would amount to nothing, and for something that wasn't even deliberate. But I think the Putin regime understood that they had not just a black celebrity, a black queer celebrity, somebody who could be used internally as a pawn, somebody who they could sort of internally mock and hold hostage from the United States, knowing the trauma that it would cause back home.
Yes. Joy Reid. She is so wise. Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.